From the sheet, Jeff Marek joins us.
Okay.
Sir, how are you?
I'm well. How are you guys doing today? I'm
You've been
loving the
watching
opening. And by the way, I loved the conversation yesterday with Noodles. I thought that was fantastic. And there's a couple of names that I want to add on to the goalie carousel. But before we get there, just heard you a couple of seconds ago talking about pizza. Now, I have a personal theory about pizza. Okay. My theory is that it is the most perfectly named food ever created. And here's why. I want you guys both to think about all the times that you were completely obliterated, just hammered 2:30 in the morning, broken compass in your head, can't find your way home. Okay. Yeah. Imagine yourself like that. Have you ever, and has anyone watching or listening ever mispronounced the word pizza?
God, no, it's
impossible to mispronounce. Like at the end of the day, when you just need something and you know you're buckled and pizza. Like just think about it. Pizza. No one has ever mispronounced this word ever.
Sorry, did you say burrito? Perfect. Pizza. Yeah, no, we know.
Pizza. No one has ever mispronounced. It's the perfectly created word, whether you're sober or in this particular case, just absolutely blackout.
Do you usually start your hits on programs with drunken anecdotes, or is that just us getting the special treatment?
What was I talking? I was talking about being. It's funny. I was talking about in the program yesterday with Jackie Redmond about being buckled with Roddy Piper for a weekend in Toronto, going back about 20 years. That was a weekend. That was back in the foggy days of your buddy Jeffy. But nonetheless, how are you guys today? Now that we transition from pizza to wherever you want to go.
Raining out here. Raining. Well,
it's about to start.
Cats and dogs.
Yeah, we're getting a January Vancouver day. Like we're talking 50 plus millimeters. It's like the 12th anniversary of the crazy floods.
It's actually lucky that the Oilers didn't win the cup, because it would be hard to have the parade today.
Yeah, this is true.
It's not their fault.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out, I'm trying to use a storm metaphor here, who would compete like the third monkey on the ark when the rains and the wind starts. Because in the history of mankind, no one has fought harder than the third monkey when the rains start on the ark. Yes, that's what you want in the playoffs. The third monkey.
Bouchard was not the third monkey.
That's how hard you want it.
Was there a third monkey in the playoffs? And what did you make of Oilers Panthers hockey?
It was
in Calgary just because it was Edmonton, but then when you look back on it, it's like it didn't really put it.
It was entertaining, but
I don't know. I mean, it was dominance, right? Like it was one team smothering another. Like it's one of those series that you're going to look back on and you're going to say, it was most noteworthy because it was the second Stanley Cup in a row for the Florida Panthers and however many they're going to win here. By the way, I heard an awesome idea yesterday.
Okay.
Sean McIndoe, down goes Brown. I mentioned this on the sheet yesterday. So the Florida Panthers, I think we can all be on the same page. We can see the Florida Panthers going back. Like, sure, they're going to shed some skin. There's going to be some new players, shuffle in, shuffle out. But by and large, Florida Panthers are going to be the Florida Panthers. I think we could see them back in the Stanley Cup final. McIndoe had the great idea. If you're the Florida Panthers, you want to end the conversation about who the best team is in the salary cap era. Because you can have the conversation. Is it Chicago? Was it that Kings team that was just so incredible when they hit the playoffs? Pittsburgh Penguins with a pair, Tampa Bay Lightning. You can go down the list and try to figure out, okay, which is the best team? And if you're the Florida Panthers, now you're in that conversation, but you want to end it. And I don't think you're going to end it with 3. The idea is if you're the Panthers, you're shooting for 4 just to end the conversation. How about this? How about this for a goofy idea, which would really kind of be cool here? If the Florida Panthers set their sights on 4, we're halfway here, boys. Next year, Stanley Cup, it gets awarded. Nobody touches it. We're not here for 3.
Ah, that's good.
We're here for 4. We're not.
Let's be honest, though.
We're not touching that thing.
No one's won 3 in a row, and I don't think anyone's been to 4 finals in a row in the Cap era. Never mind, probably until back to the 80s with the Oilers. Islanders won 4 in a row.
Islanders won 4 in a row. Yeah, that's the best
Cap era. They're right there right now. Like one more would cement them. 3 in a row is crazy in the Cap era.
3 in a row is insane in the cap era. But just to end the cup, because Chicago say, well, we won 3 Stanley Cups. Like, yeah, you didn't. You win 3 Stanley Cups in a row. But like 4 ends the conversation. Like 4, like definitively, like stop the fight. This is over. This guy's counting the lights. The fight's done.
Yeah,
because you bring it up and you talk about it. I think they're all in down in Florida. And does it ever turn into an NBA style thing? And it doesn't always work out, but like LeBron went to Miami, and then another guy goes to Miami, and then another guy goes to Mosh.
So
like,
Marchand going to Florida,
right? Like, does it ever, like, let's go crazyville? McDavid's up next year, and he's been watching those guys in Florida, going, Jesus, this looks fun. Like, taxes, you're winning, teams tight.
Yeah.
Does it ever become appealing enough? And I don't know that it will, but where guys, the top guys go, you know what? I want to win. Like if Connor McDavid wants to win and McKinnon wants to win and whoever else, and they don't give a damn where they're playing, do they ever talk to each other and let's get together? Korea and Solani went to Colorado to try to do that. It doesn't always work out, but
that's what I was going to get to. I'm glad you brought up Korea and Solani, because honestly, I thought that was going to be the beginning of that. Now they went so they could keep their salaries down so they could maximize their salaries the following year. Like there was a definitive strategy why Korea and Solani did what they did and went to Colorado. But having said that, I'm still waiting for it too, where guys don't just go as individuals, but they sell themselves as pairs. Like they go as pairs. Like we are going, and we see this in basketball. Like I just got a new best friend, so we're gonna go to this other team, and we're gonna go together. And that means you're gonna have to trade 17 guys and 1 million draft picks, but we want to play together. Damn it! It's really interesting you mentioned that, because I've been wondering when that was gonna happen, and I've been wondering about it for a while. Hasn't obviously happened yet. But I do wonder when the salary cap does go up significant. Like this year, we're getting a nudge.
It's our first bump in ages, right?
Next year is going to be holy smokes! Here. Look at all this. Look at all this room I have here. I normally don't fly in first class. Look at all this elbow room I have. This is wonderful. Like I wonder if next season we'll start to see that.
So we'll stay on topic. There's obviously Ekblad, Marchand, Bennett. Where are your picks of who stays in Florida versus who tests free agency?
Well, apparently now we do contract negotiations in public when the player is drunk in front of an audience.
I saw that.
Apparently now that's how we do. That's how we do contracts.
It's dramatic. If you're in the room, it's great. I'm sure.
Oh man, that was everything. Everything Florida did last night was tremendous. I think Bennett wants to stay. You know, and when I worked at the Fan in Toronto, you know, Bob McCowan would always have a saying, you know, to anyone who would talk to him, a contract was up, you know, you go and you talk to Bob, or I'm having a situation, you go and talk to Bob. And McCowan would always have the same thing. He would say, here's my rule for you. Don't fuck with happy. If you're happy, find a way to stay. Find a way to stay where you are. You know, how many times have we all seen a guy will chase an extra nickel or an extra dime or an extra quarter, and ultimately he ends up not happy. And there's 8, 9, 10 years of your life where your accountant's really happy, but are you happy? Now, Bennett's
if you're Brandon Montour, for example, you probably could have taken a little less to stay in Florida.
Yes. But look, like that was Brandon Montour's chance to really ring the bell. Yeah. And by the way, the Montour example, same as Oliver Ekman-Larsson, the same as Kulikov, the same as Nate Schmidt, the same as Seth Jones, to a certain extent, Gustav Forsling. I think at some point, everybody needs to understand just how great a defense coach Sylvain Lefebvre is. When you start to look at like the body of work that Sylvain Lefebvre has placed in front of everybody with all those defensemen, and what do they all have in common? You get the Florida there, and you become a better D-man, and you raise your value. Like Montour was an interesting one. That was his chance to really ring it. I don't blame him whatsoever. But yeah, if you wanted to take, but the thing is, like about Florida too, Bill Zito deserves a lot of praise. Obviously, he put this whole thing together. I don't think that it should be lost on anybody that when Bill Zito took over, you remember what his first move was? He made his first move, and it informed everything else about the Florida Panthers that we still see to this day. The first player he brought in was Patrick Hornquist, like one of the most miserable players to play, just awful. But you guys remember, like the feeling was like Florida was too easy to play against. You know, you go in there, get your 2 points, kick sand in their face, take their per diem, and go. Like it was really easy. And his first move, I'm bringing in Hornquist, and I want to bring in guys that play like that. And I want to bring in competitors. Having said that, He works hand to glove with Sonny Mehta, who is the assistant general manager and also director of analytics. There is a baseline that everybody has to have on that team of skill, whether you're Barkov, whether you're Tkachuk, whether you're a Marchand, whether you're Jonah Gadjevich. The common denominator is they can all play, but then identity takes over after that. And that's where Zito says, this is the type of team we're going to construct here. If you have that baseline that we need you to hit and you can play like this, there's room for you here with the Florida Panthers, and they have a great eye. Like, I don't think that they went out there to look for like someone really, really tough on their fourth line. I think they wanted a little bit more bite, but they also wanted someone to play. So who did Zito and Mehta come up with? Jonah Gadjevich. And that guy can play. That like he was really impressive in his role.
We were looking at the moves he's made since he took over. Yeah, it's funny because we're in Calgary. We love picking away at the Oilers. A decade with 2 superstars, 0 cups, and there's been a lot of blunders. There's been, that contract's not good. Oh, you shouldn't have drafted that guy. Ooh, that's a bad trade. You're gonna have to buy that out.
Yep.
Wow, you didn't match those offer sheets, and now you're gonna pay this guy this. But in Florida, we couldn't find a bad move the Bill Zito made. Like, there's some 50-50 washes, but there is no mistake, and that's probably how over the course of a half decade, you can collect great players and have a chance to win.
So, okay, so a couple of things on that. I'm a big believer that, and it's not the lion's share of what goes into making a successful team, but luck plays a part here.
Sure.
Luck plays a part in everything. And I like many of us, I wonder what happens to the Florida Panthers if Bobrovsky doesn't stop Marchand on that breakaway.
Yeah.
Because let's not forget too, remember we were talking about they got to buy out Bobrovsky. That contract is an albatross. This guy's not as good. You can't win with a $10 million netminder. Is Paul Maurice even the coach of the Florida Panthers? Is Bobrovsky still there? What happens? But he makes that save and doesn't force the organization into making difficult decisions.
And so just so people are clear, this is 3 years ago.
Correct.
Boston seeded Bruins, who won the regular season by a mile, and we're down 3-2 in the series and down in the third in Game 7.
Correct. And they can make the big comeback to tie it up, and it's Marchand breakaway, and the seconds are ticking down, and it's a shot to the right pad, and Bobrovsky gets it out. Like, to me, everything that we're seeing now was made possible by that right pad.
Sure.
Because if that goes in, everything's different. Right now, everything is working with the Florida Panthers and with Bill Zito. I think like you have because the thing about the Florida Panthers is there's not just one way that this team was created. Like, there are some teams like, we did this through the draft. We did this with a number of trades. The Florida Panthers have done it, they've done it a number of different ways. There's been players they inherited from the Dale Talent era. Barkov, right? Bobrovsky. Like, these were Dale Talent. And then there were the trades that have really worked out. And then most famously, maybe the most famous waiver wire pickup in Gustav Forsling, who's now one of the best defensemen in the NHL. There was probably some intel with Joel Quenneville when he was coaching the Panthers, since he had him in Chicago. So there's probably some advanced knowledge there with Forsling, but still, like, the way that they've put this thing together is kind of like the way that Colorado did. The problem is Colorado only won the one Stanley Cup.
Right.
Because I'm close to both Buffalo and Calgary, and they've got Florida has used them
a lot of those former players.
Yeah, to springboard into these championships, really.
Yeah.
Tkachuk comes and they make a bold move. We're going to get Tkachuk. He wanted, when Tkachuk's telling the Flames, I want out and I'm going to make a trade. And Panthers make a big deal. They move Uyghur and Huberdeau, and it's a hockey trade, and it's worked out for Florida because they've won, and Tkachuk has been so good. But what were when you talk about the analytics of this and that, what is it? Poor management on the Flames and the Sabres that they couldn't see what Reinhart was going to be, that we couldn't see what Bennett was going to be, or was it the fact Montour, or was it the fact that they just needed change?
First of all, for Calgary, that was a Picasso by the Tkachuk family.
Yeah.
Like, when you negotiate with the Tkachuks, you don't just negotiate with one, you negotiate with all, and that includes the agent. And I don't think Calgary didn't want to be in a situation where he walked away for nothing.
Well, they so absolutely, yeah.
But at the same time too, like, how many of us looked at that trade initially and said,
Calgary won in a landslide. Everyone did.
You just got a Jonathan Huberdeau, one of the best playmakers in the NHL, coming off a 115-point season, and you got Mackenzie Weegar too.
First rounder.
Like, give Brad Treliving the GM of the Year award right now. Now it hasn't worked out that way, and Matthew Tkachuk has become, not just one of the best players, but an iconic player, not just with the Florida Panthers, but with all of USA hockey too. And I think we're going into Italy next year, saying it's Canada versus the Tkachuks again. But Sam Reinhart was interesting. Now, I'm always curious about when a new general manager takes over, how many other managers try to pick his pocket. Mm-hmm. And I looked at that one, and I kind of said, I wonder if that's just because there are other teams that tried to get Reinhart too. San Jose tried to get Reinhart. St. Louis was in on Reinhart as well. Kevin Adams wanted a goaltender. I think St. Louis may have been offering Joel Hofer. Not sure about San Jose, but I think Eklund may have been in that deal. And the Florida Panthers had Devin Levi. And I think that's what really turned Kevin Adams. I know, listen, dude, turned Kevin Adams on that deal. I know, but again, we always hear the things like, oh, rookie general manager. Oh, here we go. I remember Brian Burke would always tell me, like, when he first started as a manager, you know how they would judge trades? It was a good trade if the guy you made the deal with got fired. Then it was like, that's how you judge trades. Oh, these guys were all Pirates. Oh, I skinned him. Yeah, such a good trade. He got fired.
Okay, so there's lots on the Panthers there, and they're great, and we'll have the dynasty conversation as the years continue. On the other side, here's Connor McDavid yesterday meeting with the Edmonton media, and he's asked specifically about his future heading into the final year of his deal. It's about 45 seconds, and then we can all react to it.
Sure.
As you said, it's only been a couple of days since the season ended. Take some time to regroup. Talk to my agent a little bit and family and all that, and make some decisions whenever that time comes. But there's no rush on anything like that.
No, that's 45 seconds out of a long press conference. He also talked about how there was unfinished business. He also said, I still have to take care of my family, and that comes first, but there is unfinished business. Yeah. You could take 20 seconds of this and spin it to he's absolutely resigning or he's totally gone. But what impressions were you left with Connor meeting there? Because if you're the Oilers or an Oilers fan, you're like, July 1, let's get that locked in. That'd be great. But Connor controls everything here. This is all in Connor's court.
Totally. And right now it's in Stan Bowman's court. Like, I looked at that and said, that's Connor McDavid saying, and one of the things he did say, like, listen, if I believe that there's a window here for us to win for a long time, this is an easy negotiation, and it's easy for me to sign. Right. To me, that's the salvo. Over to you, Stan. What are you going to do about the elephant in the room is goaltending. Like, who's between the pipes here for us? Right? Like, if you can show me that this team can win consistently, then I'm there. That's why I looked at that one. I said, it's not exactly what Oilers fans want to hear. Obviously, they want to hear, listen, I've been here for 10 years. I have deep roots here. I really love this organization. I have a good understanding and a good working relationship with everybody here. Everyone's on the same page. There is a path here for this to happen. It just may take some time, but there's mutual agreement on what we want to happen here. But Oilers fans didn't hear that. They heard maybe. So for everyone who said, oh, it's 100% done deal, July 1st, he's going to sign, it's not. I was told earlier on this year, do not draw a straight line between Leon Draisaitl signs with the Oilers. That means Connor McDavid is going to sign with the Oilers. Someone told me, do not draw that line. And we saw yesterday of evidence that we should not draw that line between the two. McDavid still wants to see some things happen with his Oilers team, wants to see, what the path looks like, wants to see, where the window is here for this team to be a consistently good team that can qualify for Stanley Cup championships. And until then, he's not gonna make up his mind on signing a contract extension. I also think that what McDavid did yesterday is he chummed the waters and tried to calm everybody down, that if this doesn't happen on July 1st, calm down, everybody. Yeah. There are certain things that McDavid wants to see happen before he's gonna hold the pen.
Okay, Jeff's short on time. You got to do Carson Price in 10 minutes. 5 minutes.
What's up?
So one final one. Just heading into the draft, we're now 7 days away.
Yeah.
This is traditionally a huge transactional season. We've already seen a lot of business get done after the Cup final, signings, trades. What have you got your eye on, and what's maybe the most intriguing or curious thing that you've heard or that you're waiting to see happen before next Friday's round one?
I'm waiting to see what Utah does, both at the draft and at free agency. I don't know that there's a more interesting team at the draft than Utah. Listen, the Islanders won the draft. They're first overall. They're going to grab Matthew Schaefer and be thankful for that for the next 10 years. Utah bumps up to spot number 4. Do they use that pick? Do they trade down with that pick? Do they trade that pick outright? And then what do they do in free agency? I wonder. And they have a need for a veteran center. I've wondered about John Tavares there for a number of years. They also have a need for a first pairing right shot defenseman. And I think we all wonder about Aaron Ekblad. To me, one of the teams we've identified, as all of us have, months ago, and one of the most interesting teams here in the offseason, draft, free agency, whatever you want to pinpoint. Utah are going to be making moves. The only question is, does it happen with the 4th overall pick?
What's on the sheet today? Give us a tease.
We're going to be talking more about the Connor fallout because, as I like to say, it may be low-hanging fruit, but even low-hanging fruit is nutritious. So we'll do more on that, and we'll talk about Jonathan Taves and his Winnipeg Jets deal. Shannon Goldman from The Athletic will stop by, and I may have a surprise guest. I'm just waiting to hear back from one team, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for by the way, can I throw one more from the conversation with Noodles yesterday about goaltenders? Because there's some good ones that he threw out there. Yeah. I wonder about Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen with the Buffalo Sabres. If you look down the stretch with the Buffalo Sabres, he lost the crease. James Reimer got the crease, and they won a whole bunch of games. There are some in the organization that point to Luukkonen and his performance down the stretch and say that may have contributed to us sort of losing the season and not making in the playoffs. Listen, Devin Levi's on the horizon. He's 20 games away from needing waivers. I wonder if the Buffalo Sabres make a decision there. And if they do the Edmonton Oilers jump in?
Thanks for your time, buddy. Appreciate it. Good as always.
Pizza. Can't mispronounce it.
That was Jack 5 hours ago. There's Jeff Marek from The Sheet joining us on the Crystal Waters guest hotline.
Hey, buddies. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at flamesnation.ca.